Wrestling is about discipline, toughness, focus. It's going to push you to your limits. It's going to test your will and a bunch of emotions all sprinkled in between. What's up, guys? This is Mighty Q here with Mighty Q's Locker, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about quickly my story of being a student athlete. And the way that I look at it is my journey as a student athlete was the student side and the student focus that everyone talks about. It's interesting because I was in school to play sports, and it was tough for me to focus in school when I didn't have sports. And so I knew I had to get good grades to be able to play sports. So that was a very big driving factor for me. And then there were certain subjects that I did actually like. And so it was a little bit easier for me to engage in those classes. But really, for the most part, there was just a lot of classes that it wasn't that I didn't give it my full force, attention, effort, and whatever to we want to call schoolwork. But I knew how to play the game of school, where whether it be the syllabus or rubric or whatever the teacher calls it, but in that first week, the teacher tells you exactly how the class is going to be lined up. And so people talk about this in college because you have syllabus week, and it's like the first two classes, you basically talk about the syllabus and you don't really do much else in the class. Some professors try to jump right into stuff, but you basically break down the syllabus and they tell you exactly how the class is going to go. Some professors and some teachers have it to where they have everything already scheduled out before they get into the year. And it's just a system, and you know exactly how everything's going to be scored. So for the most part, in middle school and high school, the way it's structured with like homework, quizzes, and tests is the homework is a certain percentage, the quizzes are a certain percentage, and the tests are a certain percentage. And so if you do the math, you can essentially get pretty poor grades on all the homeworks. But as long as you turn them in, you're good. Even on most of the quizzes, you don't have to do really too much work. And then even the same goes for tests. If you actually try on the homework and you get like 50s on all the homework, you're going to know more than if you just, one, don't turn the homework in. But then two, if you cheat and don't try on the homework at all just to get the good grade, that's not going to benefit you as much as just doing the homework and getting a bad grade. If you do all the homework questions and you get a 50 on it because you didn't know what you were doing and you tried and you worked through all of them, one, you know which ones you weren't able to do, so those are the ones that you can focus on. And so you actually do know a little bit because you were able to do 5, and then let's say it was 10 questions, so you got 5 wrong. So you know which 5 you got wrong, and so you know which 5 to focus on. That's the benefit of turning it in and not cheating, first off, because there's too many people who are just going to cheat and not do it. So you get a 50. If ultimately, based out of 100 points, the homework is only 10 points, whether or not, let's say you cheated off your buddy's homework and he got you a 70 and you would have done it and gotten a 50, in the grand scheme, that's the difference of, let's say you got perfect everywhere else. That's the difference between getting a 95 and a 97 in the class. 2 points are irrelevant when it comes to the homework. So you do the homework on your own, which I used to do all the time. And so I would know exactly what I did know and what I didn't have to study, because I was like, okay, I know this. And so I wouldn't study any of the stuff that I got right on any of the homeworks or any of the quizzes. I just blatantly wouldn't study it. I'm not advising that. Also, this is not advice of like what you should do. This is what I did, and I'm just kind of referencing it because I think for a lot of people who do the same things that I'm doing now currently, it's an easier way to shift their focus, and you can get a lot more productive with a lot less. you can be more productive and more effective in a shorter amount of time. So let's rock and roll with that. So basically, by doing the homeworks and not cheating and actually doing what you do, you get 50s. You know which 5 to focus on. So you study those 5. And so when it comes time for the quiz, you get like a 70 on the quiz. And so based off of what the quiz is scored, so let's call it 40 points, you essentially get like 30 points of the quizzes out of 40. And so now you're already at a 40 in the class. And then essentially, because you then are able to know what you missed on the quizzes and still don't know, you can then kind of touch on that. And so you normally end up doing slightly better on a test. And so let's say you get like, instead of like 70 on the quizzes, you get like a 75 or 80% of the test. You normally end up getting pretty close to it's a foolproof way to not fail. So for anyone who's like on the fringes and like they don't know how to pass their classes, do it this way. For those of you who are good at school and know just study and know what you do. But the important reason is you have to know what you don't do well. And so I basically went full force with that when I was in school. But my reasoning behind this, though, was I knew that I had to get certain grades to play sports. And that was my big driving factor. And so the minute that I was no longer playing sports, that went out the window for me. And that was part of the thing that led to me leaving college when I did. But there's a different story for a different day. While in school, I knew I had to get good grades. Getting good grades led to me being able to play sports. But there's also an inverse of that, of because I played sports, that helped me get better grades. So there's some research that's done on it, and you can find and look it up if you want. But the reason kids have recess, and everyone had recess growing up, is also tailored to get your body up and moving. Because if you're up and moving and active, your blood flow, one, is increased, and so there's an alertness in your brain, and you're able to be more receptive to information. When you're really tired, some of those brain receptors, not necessarily that they shut off, but they just don't work as fluidly. It's a way to be energized. It's a way to be woken up. It's a way to be more alert, and you learn more. At the same time, if, let's say, they were struggling right before they went to recess. If you're struggling right before you went to recess, you would then be able to stop on a problem, go run out and play outside for a little while, and their mind would be taken off of it. You would also see kids bounce back and then be able to get through the problems that they were immediately struggling with just before they went out for recess. So there's a certain balance that activity has, and our physical wellness adds to our mental ability, and that's directly shown through school and test scores and the ability to like get outside and be active. But that's directly for me, and being a student athlete, is I know I played the game of knowing exactly what I had to get on quizzes and homeworks and tests to pass all my classes, and to get, I got B's essentially my entire school career. I was basically a B average student. I got A's in some classes, and I got C's in some classes, which balanced me right out to I was a B student. So when it comes to wrestling, though, teaches you discipline. Wrestling is tough and gives you both mental toughness and actual physical toughness. It's a challenge of your mind. It's a challenge of your will. It's a challenge of your strength. It's your challenge of mental ability, and sometimes it's a question of passion and how much you have a competitive edge to win, how much honor and glory you want. And the thing with wrestling is there is nothing spectacular about it. There is nothing glitz and glamour about it. You have professional wrestling, with all the shows and whatnot that they do, and it's pretty glamorized and glitz, and with Ric Flair and his alligator shoes and limousine riding, jet flying. That's the glitz and glam world. But the real wrestling is gritty. It's tough. Hard work, dedication, grind. That's wrestling. The discipline to stick to the ridiculous diet plans and the ridiculous workout plans and all the things that wrestlers put themselves through day in and day out. No other sport asks that of you. Yes, there are other combat sports that require a lot, but they don't have the same schedule. Boxers don't box in tournaments every weekend, every week for 4 months. MMA fighters don't fight in tournaments every weekend for every week for 4 months. Also throwing in random duels, a vast majority of those weeks. So you'll wrestle one time in the middle of the week, and then you'll wrestle 2 to 6 times, maybe 8 times on the weekend. As you cut weight Monday until Thursday afternoon to make weigh-ins for the duel. And then you get a little bit of rehydration back to wrestle Thursday night. And then you have Friday to get down for Saturday morning to refuel and rehydrate for all day Saturday wrestling, to then have Sunday off and to relax and to kind of try to refuel and try to get things back in your body, to go and do the same thing again Monday and to cut 10, 12, 15 pounds from Monday morning until Thursday afternoon for a dual weigh-in at 5:45 because you had to be on the bus at 3 o'clock to drive, the hour over to whatever school to weigh in at 5:45. So you had to be on weight realistically at 2:30. So from the time that you wake up Monday morning, so let's call it 8 a.m. Monday morning, until Thursday at 2 o'clock to lose 10, 12, 15 pounds. Every week. For 4 months. While putting your body through some of the most ridiculous workouts and the most grueling things to cut the weight and to basically dehydrate your body and to put yourself through absolute hell just to give yourself a chance to go to war out on the mat and in your mind Thursday night and all day Saturday. It's a war before a war. You go to war with yourself to cut the weight every single week. You then go to war with yourself out on the mat in every single match. And you do that every single week for 4 months. While also going to, grueling practices and extra workouts, and then extra workouts on top of that to cut weight, long sauna sessions, not eating food. Oh, and then also doing all the same studying and all the same stuff that everyone else does. Wrestling isn't easy. I'll never tell anyone it's easy. I'll never tell anyone it's not a something you can't be good at. Anyone can be good at wrestling. Doesn't matter if you're tall, doesn't matter if you're short, doesn't matter if you're super strong, doesn't matter if you have no strength. Doesn't matter if you know what you're doing, doesn't matter if you are just willing to give 18 months to it. Anyone can be good. There's no particular one set wrestler that makes you good. There's a bunch of different styles. There's a bunch of different ways to go out there on the mat. Different techniques. And a lot of people win a lot of different ways. Anyone can do it. It's just going to ask for your absolute best. It's going to ask for you to leave 110% at practice, after practice, trying to cut and lose the extra weight. And it, of course, is going to require it of you out on the mat when it's bright lights on for a duel or a tournament. Doesn't matter if it's for districts, regions, state. Could be a city tournament. Could be a local random club meet. Could be a national tournament. It doesn't matter. Every match is the exact same. It's a battle of how good can you do? How good can you be? And then also, are you able to best your opponent? But it starts with you. You wrestle your match. You enforce what you want to do. You wrestle the way that you want to wrestle. You maintain good position that you want to maintain. You hit the moves that you want to hit. And you give it 110%. That is what wrestling asks. Anyone who's willing to do that, wrestling has a spot waiting for you. People ask all the time, what's it take to be a champ? Really not much more than you think. How much do you practice? How intense do you practice? How much do you prepare? How intense do you prepare? How calm do you maintain during, before, and after any competition, any event, any practice? It's all very basic things. Everyone knows the makeups of what it takes to win. Everyone knows the little things that you have to do because all the little things are different for every single person. The little things it took for me to be slightly better to win 2 national tournaments, I knew what I had to do. I knew it was me putting in more effort and me focusing on a smaller handful of moves rather than just showing my entire arsenal of stuff, of moves that I did know, but I wasn't really that good at hitting them. I got really, really good with a handful of moves, and I won a lot of matches as a result. And once I got really good with those moves, and I had been practicing with all the other moves, and I got better with those, is when I started actually using those other moves. I've known a lot of moves for a long time. I've known how to hit all those moves for a really long time. I wasn't very good hitting all of those moves for the entirety of the time. I've been able to hit a double leg for almost all of my wrestling career. I was able to hit a swing single most of my career. I was able to hit a chicken wing most of my career. I didn't always hit a cradle. I didn't always hit an ankle pick. I wasn't always able to throw. Sometimes I was really good with a switch. Sometimes I was good with a stand-up. Sometimes I hit a Granby and it looked fantastic. Sometimes I hit a Peterson. Sometimes I hit a tripod stand-up to a knee slide. Sometimes I went fireman's carry. Like, there's a lot of moves out there. But until you're really, really good at them, it didn't matter. But the point isn't how many moves you know, it's the effort that you put in. So I knew I had to put in more effort in a more focused manner. So like I said, everyone knows what it takes to be a champion. It's all the little things that you need to do. What you need to do is different from your practice partner and your other teammate and your other teammate. You all wrestle a different style. You have different advantages. I have longer arms. I hit certain moves that are easier for me based on having longer arms. I also had certain disadvantages of having longer arms, and I got caught in certain situations because my arms were in a precarious position, and they just weren't in a good position. And as a result, there was times that I got put in chicken wings. There was times that I got random hand control given up for no reason. Like, wrestling requires your best. You can't half-ass it. It teaches you discipline. You can't go and eat whatever you want. You have to maintain that. That's discipline. It's a grueling sport. You're going to get beat up. There's a lot of bumps and bruises that come with it. You're going to get a lot more toughness. It's an absolute grind. You're going to need a bunch of grit to maintain it out. But show up every day and give it 110%. Because all of this is wrapped up in, it's an absolute blast. The things that require the most out of you are also the things that you find the most enjoyment with. Give it your best. Give it your all. Leave it all on the mat. And I guarantee you, you're going to have the most fun of your life, and you're going to be set up for the rest of your life. Guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, then all I ask is that you share the show with a friend and help more awesome wrestlers and other people listen to this great podcast since you had a chance to listen to it as well. I will talk to you guys on the next one.